Hello and welcome to Terrific Tuesday. Today we're going to have a look at habit number 3 from Steven Coveys, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Today's lesson is about time management, something that we all have a problem with sometime or other during our lives. I'm a big fan of the urgent important matrix and have adapted it somewhat to suit my needs, but I have found by following the basic principles of what Steven Covey gives us, I am more productive, and I tend to get things done at an easy pace rather than rushing around at the last minute. So please take a look at habit number 3. Straight after that is a video from Teachers Tech on the Windows 10 free video editor. Now this is a feature that very few of us know about. It is very basic, but suits its needs. If you want to make a video very quickly, which is a combination of pictures and videos that you already have, you can do so. You can add extra effects onto them. You can take videos and you can trim them. You can split them, cut them into different parts. It's really nice a really nice feature to know about, because there's often that time when you get a video and you just want to take the end off, or you want to add something at the beginning. This gives you the perfect opportunity to do it. Very quick, simple, and easy to use. I'd also like to mention that tomorrow, 8th of July, from Hoppers 5 to Hoppers 6, I will be doing a talk on how to add value to your workplace and to yourself personally. Something that is very important for you to think about and to know. Especially at this time of the national awards, Admin Excellence Awards. You know, people often say, what do you look for? What is it that you actually want to find in a person? What adds value? And so I find this very fitting for our networking event tomorrow. And how do you add value? What do you do? So please join me tomorrow, Hoppers 5 to Hoppers 6. I will put the link for the meeting up on the WhatsApp group tomorrow morning. And I hope to see you there. I'm thrilled to see so many of my professional members actually going out and doing online learning, having a look at what's available, but even more so when I see people stretching their limits and climbing out of their box. There's so much free online learning going out there during this pandemic. And so many people tend to go for the same people, the same speakers, the same topics over and over again. But I'm delighted to see some people stepping outside of their little box and taking on or registering for webinars that is a little bit outside of their scope of work, and yet they are still learning so much that they can apply in the workplace as well. So please don't be afraid. It's free. When they're free, register and have a look. You never know what you can learn. So hopefully you had a happy Tuesday or an awesome Tuesday, or are still going to have an awesome Tuesday. But until next week, keep well, keep safe, and keep your distance.
Alright, habit 3 is to put first things first. If habit 2 says you're the programmer, then habit 3 is write the program. This is the second creation. As you learned in habit 2, all things are created twice. First in the mind, and then in reality. Habit 3, putting first things first, is where you take the steps and actions required to make your vision a reality. This is where we begin examining our daily routines and habits. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing for you in this moment? It's probably your significant other, finishing school, improving your health, or your family, right? It's not checking Facebook or Instagram. So why do we spend so much time doing these useless things, right? We need to get into the habit of putting first things first. Taking the time to focus on what really matters and focusing our efforts on what's going to get us to where we want to be in life. Really start questioning the scripts and the habits in your life. We've all fallen into the vicious cycle of waking up late, eating poorly, leaving late for work, rushing through traffic in a state of stress, being unorganized at work and being pulled in 1,000 different directions, and then getting home, eating fast food because you're tired, and then falling asleep late because you watched some new TV show. And then you wake up late the next day to do it all over again. This is the perfect example of not putting first things first. We could all use a little help in the time management department, right? And we all have a lot to do. So how do we manage time effectively? Usually we all write things down on a giant to-do list, and we tend to go in order from top to bottom with no real priorities. This is not the way. Or you schedule things on a calendar, which is a decent practice, but with one interruption, our whole game can be thrown off. You could also try daily planning based on priorities, but again, one interruption or emergency can mess it all up. Most of us fall into this time management scheme. But there is another way. The best way is to categorize things by urgency and importance. Steven developed a cool quad chart for this, and you need to categorize items in the following. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. This is putting out fires, emergencies, and kind of the reactive mindset. Quadrant 2 is not urgent and important. These are things like your health, exercising, spending time with your family, relationships. We need to put more focus here. These are often neglected activities, and this is where success and balance and growth are found. Quadrant 3 activities are not important and urgent. So most of us spend our time here, right? Interruptions, some meetings, some phone calls, and other people's emergencies. And then quadrant 4 are not important and not urgent. These are a waste of time, busy work, some emails, some phone calls, and so on. You remember the example above of the reactive and unorganized person. Now let's look at an example of someone who puts first things first. Joe wakes up early, exercises for 30 minutes, eats a healthy breakfast, leaves early for work, and has a nice, smooth, and joyful ride. Then Joe works on the important and not urgent things in quad 2, and he works on emergencies if needed, and then he delegates quadrant 3 activities and rejects quadrant 4 tasks. Joe takes a nice relaxing lunch and thinks about the rest of his day and plans his night. At the end of the workday, he closes out tasks and plans things for the next day. He gets home and prepares a healthy meal and then maybe reads before bed. He seems to have more time to think and reflect about his life, and he makes plans on where he wants to end up and who he wants to be. Basically, what we did in habit 2, begin with the end in mind. I mean, if you look at these two different examples, it's a huge difference, right? No one on their deathbed wishes they spent more time at work or checked their Facebook more often, right? So again, focus on what's important to you and make it a priority. Commit yourself to it. Now the first 3 habits, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first, are about moving you from being dependent to being independent. They're about self-mastery. They help you become more effective as an individual by developing inner strength, character, purpose, and values. The next 3 habits, which I'll cover in the next video, move you from being independent to being interdependent. Interdependence is the highest level of what Steven Coveys calls the maturity continuum. The maturity continuum consists of 3 levels: dependence, independence, and interdependence. Dependence is like the relationship between a child and a mother, or even sometimes between a boss and an employee, if the employee lacks their own inner strength, values, and purpose. It's the attitude of you. To move from dependence to independence, you have to nail those first 3 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first. This is the attitude of I. Most people think independence is where it's at, right? They think this is the highest level, but in fact, interdependence is the highest level. Interdependence is where you think like a team. Think family, think marriage, right? A team mentality. We accomplish what we want together. It's the attitude of we. We can combine our talents and our abilities to make something even better. Habits 4 through 6 will help you deal with people, how to read the needs of people, how to empathize, and how to cooperate. And keep in mind, you have to move from being dependent to independent before you can truly become interdependent. So go ahead and check out part 2 of this summary, where you can learn about habits 4 through 7. I'll link.
So there's actually a couple different ways you can open Video Editor. I'm just going to go down and search here, and I'm just going to start typing video, and you can see this is what it looks like right here, Video Editor. And you get the options right away. If you are using it right away, you can pin it to start or taskbar. So if I pin it to taskbar, I have it right here. The other way, if you were looking, if you just go to Photos, it actually is connected with Photos on this one. So you can see we have new video. So there's 2 different ways you can get through it. Now, if I was just entering in from my quick launch from my taskbar that I just started, you can see how it's the new video up here. So right away, I'm just going to go ahead and start a new video project. You can see where you're prompted right away, and I'm going to click on it. And now I'm going to name it. In this one, I have some videos about dogs here today. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now, the first thing what I want to do is add my media. And so by media, I'm going to be adding my videos and pictures, and I have them in a folder on my desktop. So I'm just going to click add here, and I'm going to say from PC, but you see the choices. You can go from my collection in your photos and everything, or you can actually go to the web, but I'm just going to go from PC today. These are, I could bring them in one at a time. I'm actually going to bring these all in. There's some pictures and some videos. So I'm just going to grab them all and select them. I could drag them right into here too. So if I had another window open, I could drag, just like in a lot of their applications, you can just drag things over. That would work too. So you can see I've brought these in now. They were all selected. I'm just clicking off. These are videos over here, and these are pictures. The videos are represented with a play sign. So right away, what I'm going to do is go and start a title slide here, a title card, and I'm just going to go down at the beginning, down here. Now, this is different than some of the other video editors that you might see, because it's working more of a storyline, storyboard mode, rather than timeline with channels and everything. This is an easy way to begin with video editing, so this would be a great start if you haven't done any video editing before. But I'm just going to add a title card to start with. So now with the title card, you can see where it just says title on this one, but I'm going to right click on this, and you can see I have some different options. I can change the duration. Right now the duration is at 3 seconds. That's what that 3 means down there. I'm going to go to edit, and I want to edit some text. So I'm going to go to that, and I'm just going to go and write a title up top here. So I'll just write, I'm going to say about dogs, like that. And you can see as I click on different ones, how quickly it changes. So you can go through and pick different ones that you like. I'm going to leave it at joy right now, but there is a long list. If I scroll down, you can see all the different ones, and you can change the location where you want. But since this is the title, what I'm going to do is just leave it right here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And then I have this beginning. So I'm going to go, I can play it up here, do a preview. You can see there's some movements to it. So next thing what I want to do is bring in some video. I'll bring in some video and pictures. I'm going to take this one right here. So I'm just going to drag it into the second spot. So you can see this is 14 seconds long. If I go ahead, and you can see I can start playing the video, and it goes through. So maybe I don't want things that long, 14, maybe I only want a 4 or 5 second clip. Now what I can do, you have all these options up here. You notice where it says trim and split. So what I can do with trim, if I go ahead and click on it, I can move my markers to a certain spot. So if I wanted it to be start at 5 seconds and end at 10 seconds, and then when I hit done, you can see now the time that was left in it is just of the one that I selected to it. Now, another thing that I could do, and I'm going to bring down another video right here, you can also use a split tool. So what the split does, so if I go to it and hit split, I can find a spot where I want to split it. And when I get it, I can hit done. And then you notice I have the first 4.7 seconds and then the 7.03 seconds on it. So it's just some different options to have. What I can do is I could just hit delete and leave that part. So I have this little video now. I have a title slide, and then it will just go over to the 4.6 seconds and then over to the other one there. Now, just to add in, I'm going to add in this picture here. Drag it down. So this is just a picture, and some things happen. I have a few different options because with pictures I can change the duration. So do I want it to be 3 seconds? I can click on duration. You can see how I can pick if I wanted it to be a different time, or I could do a custom one. If whatever I put in here, you notice how it changes like this. And the other thing I wanted to point out, notice the black lines here. You might not want the black lines showing, and we have Resize on this. So if I go to Resize, if you ever notice those black bars, just go ahead and click this, and it just makes sure it sized it. And so now as it plays through this, we can go through and then it's just going to play it as normal. So far it's very quickly. All I'm doing is dragging things down. I'm just editing. I can trim very easy. I can change durations of pictures, and I'm just putting them in the order that I want. Any individual clip you can add titles to, so our text. So if I go to any of these and click on them, and then I go to the text, I can go ahead and write something up here. So if I was going to write beach, I could stay with the theme that I was on before, or pick a different one. You can see. And the other thing to point out, so if I was going to pick, well, we'll go with this one. I'm going to just stretch the, change the distance on here like this. I'm going to hit done. And now if I go back, I'm going to hit play. And you'll see as it goes through, it doesn't come up until I told it to come up, and we have the title that goes through. So it's very easy to add those titles. Some other effects that you can add to these ones, I'll just use this. If we go to filters here, we have some filters we can quickly add just by clicking on it. So that was pixelate, you can see arcade, and you can just go through. There's not a lot of effects, but if you want to change it slightly, you can see when you get it the way you want, you can just go ahead and hit done on it, and then that effect is added to it. Then there is also motion here. So motion, I'm going to go to this one. You don't notice it a lot. So if I click on the clip, the motion, if I was going to go to a tilt down and tilt up, so what it does is move the camera slightly. So if I play it through here, there's a slight tilt down. If I go and play it this one, now there's going to be a slight tilt up. So you can see kind of the difference of what's happening. And when you get what you want, just remember to hit done on it. If you need to go back and change them at any time, if I go back to motion, you can see how I can go back to none, and then I can go and hit done on it like so. Let's move up to adding some music or custom audio. And all I need to do is go right up top where it says background music. And they have some that's already built into it that you can use. So if I was going to pick this one, you can listen to it. I'm not sure if that sounds like dog music, but I'll use it as my example. You can see some options here with sync your video to the music's beat, and this controls the volume level. I'm just going to leave it at max. And one thing I wanted you to notice, these times are going to change the duration. So if I hit done, then the duration is changed to match the length of that. So now if I go ahead and play this, let me just make sure I'm on the first one. I'll hit play. And you can see now how it just adapted very quickly just by using that across the slides. So I'm going to go back and actually take out that. So go back, background music, and I'm going to go hit none and done. Like so. Now there's also custom audio. So maybe you're doing a voiceover and you recorded your voice and you wanted to add it in it, or you had your own music. You can go and add the file from here. So if I go to this one, I just have some music here. You can hear it. Now this is where sets where you want it to. So if I wanted to be across, I just move that white one back first, and then I can bring this to all the way to this end, and then I can stretch it out if I wanted to play it during that full 14 seconds. So you can adjust where you want to play it on that. But now if I go ahead and play it, you can see how it's added to it. So you can add your own music too. Now let's just move over to a couple of the other effects, the 3D effects that you can add. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another video when I show this last example with the 3D effects here. So if I go and click on this video that I just brought in and went to 3D effects, I'm just going to take a moment to load this up, not too long. And then you have all these different options through here you can see. So you can kind of scroll through. You can see there's some dust explosion to just a normal explosion. So if I was going to put a confetti blast here, so I'm going to drag this over here, and you can see I drag it on. There's volume associated with it, so maybe you don't want it or do want it, but you can see how I can adjust. I can have the move effect of this one. I can actually increase the size and move it to different places here, and this it tells me where this is going to be placed in here. So I'll just put it fairly close to the beginning, and I'll hit done. And then when I go done, and then if I just play this here from on this one here, and hit play, you'll see that the confetti came out like so. Now, just like all the other ones, if you go click on it and then you go back to 3D effects, you can get rid of this one by clicking the X, and then it's going to be X'd out. But you do have to hit done after that too, or else it won't save it. So there is lots of different effects that you can play with that work the same way. There's also the 3D library in here, where there's lots of different ones that you can kind of go through, so you can go through and search and pick different ones. So if I was just going to quickly, and I'll just quickly show you how you can make some adjustments here. Maybe if I wanted to put another dog into the video, I can click add it to it. So I'm going to go ahead and just click this and hit, there we go, and it's adding it in. And then we have this in here, and again, I can change my location of it and the size, and you can actually add some quick animation. So right now it's not really doing anything, so if I hit play on it, it's just going to stand there like that. But then if I add, let's say, jump and turn to it, there's going to be some different animations that you can go through. So you can see how it adds it to it just by adding those simple effects. And if you like what you want, you hit done. So let's say you're done your whole project now. You've added music, added some effects, got everything edited the way you want. All you do is go up to finish video, and you can see the different ones. You can go from 1080p, 720, and 540. I'm just keep it at 1080 here, and then you can go ahead and hit export. And that's all there is to it. So you tell it where to save. So if I was just putting it back onto my desktop, and then it's exporting it, and I'm going to have that video in 1080p. So that's Windows 10 video editor on it. So you can see very simply used. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles that other video editors, but if you want to do some quick trimming of video, adding pictures, working with video, or working with pictures in there and creating a kind of a slideshow, it works very good. And there's our final project.